It's day 2 of March Madness, and we're going to break it all down for you, even though there wasn't a whole lot of madness like day 1. At least day 1, we had a few upsets. Today was a little more chalk, but that doesn't mean there's a bunch to learn, bunch of entertaining stuff to take away from, and at least we started the day with a super close, chaotic, freakish game in Santa Clara versus Kentucky with some big name prospects as well. We'll dive into all of it, all of the happenings, biggest takeaways, and a little preview for this weekend. Next, let's party. Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Night Shift. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined by Stephen Gilaspie. Stephen, day 2 of the madness, day 2 of the first round of 64. How are we holding up? How are we doing?
So far so good. I don't know why my camera just went blurry all of a sudden right now. It's okay. We'll
Well,
figure
it's
it out.
Friday. Maybe it had a couple drinks. It's letting loose. It had a long week.
Yeah, quote puddle of mud, everything's so blurry and everyone's so fake. Yeah, it's been a really fun day overall to be a draft analyst, I guess I would say. Not really. I'm not gonna lie, Metcalf. The slate is has been pretty barren so far.
Tough
Luckily,
day.
the NCAA saved like the best prospects for when we are typically recording these breakdown shows, so
Yeah.
that's fun. So, but there, like you said, there's still things to take away. Like I told you before we even started the show, is this is an episode where we got to eat our vegetables, and get stronger and healthier and grow. So that's what we're here to do.
Or at the very least, exercise some demons.
That's true.
It was a weird day. And God, yesterday was really fun with a bunch of upsets, some big name performances, big name players struggling. Today it was really chalk. A bunch of like 15 to 20 point blowouts, exact results that you would expect. Um, but you know what? Let's just dive right in because
Yeah.
we did start the day with the best game of the day by far. 7-10 matchup in Kentucky versus Santa Clara. 7 seed Kentucky narrowly won against a 10 seed Santa Clara, 89 to 84 in overtime. An absolutely chaotic final ending to regulation where Allen Graves hits a pick and pop three to go up by 3 with like 2 seconds left. Kentucky immediately inbounds, gets it to Otega Owe, who puts up a half court heave that he banks in. We're going to OT, a wild turn of events. I kind of thought both these teams were a brutal watch. I hate watching this Kentucky team. Sorry, Wildcat Nation, Big Blue Nation, but this is one of my least favorite teams to watch ever. I think they're up there with like the Jalen Duren Memphis season of like tough
Josh
watches.
Mino, yeah.
Um, and Santa Clara didn't do themselves any favors either. Like I thought Kentucky was pretty mediocre outside of Otega Owe, and Santa Clara should have probably won this game if a couple guys were on the court consistently. But where do you want to go with this game?
Dude, it's a mess. Let's just acknowledge the winners and to
Yeah,
like you apologize to Big Nation as a Razorback fan. I'm not going to do that ever. Just kidding. Love you guys. Otega Owe though, 35 points, 8 rebounds,
yeah,
7 assists, 2 stocks. It's interesting to kind of look at him in this light now in the big dance because it almost makes me want to go back and say, has he just been this good and we're just bored with Otega Owe? Like, and I know that that's not the case, but sometimes like the brain can play tricks on itself in a way. I know that he hasn't been lights out all season long. Like I know that, but is he doing enough? I found myself wondering today, Metcalf, is this the Terrence Shannon Jr. guy where we're just like, yeah, we kind of know who he is. He's an athletic slashing kind of like guard wing prospect. He's going to defend, he's going to rebound, he's going to make timely plays, he's going to jack shots up, and it could will his team to winning, it could cause his team to lose, he could be the detriment or he could be the victor. I even went back to look at, in the off season, I wrote kind of like this fun award thing where I was like, who's going to be the Ryan Kalkbrenner award winner? the guy who we think we have figured out and who just rise up
Mhm.
drafts board. And I had Otega Owe as a candidate for that, and he hasn't really like stole the show, but like today was a subtle reminder as to why I considered him for that piece.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with him, and I promise I'll circle back. But real quick, Ben Smith asking in the chat because we are live over on No Ceilings YouTube.
Yeah.
What is Morez's floor? I think it's Musa Diabate on Charlotte right now. That high energy backup big who does all the dirty work. Yada yada yada. They played yesterday. We talked about him on yesterday's show. Go watch that. Plenty of Morez content on the channel. But circling back to Otega, I I know he's had some really big fans, especially
Yeah.
even among the No Ceilings crew, and I've never been able to get there because there just always seems to be a major hole missing from his game. Obviously, the easy one is the outside shot, but he's almost up to 34% on okay volume this year, and for an athlete and a slasher like that, that's kind of okay enough. Um, but like I think where I really struggle with him is that there's never really been a major jump with the playmaking. Today, it was great. I think he had 7 assists today.
Yep. 7 assists.
But he also like rarely gets to the free throw line. Like if he has a free throw rate of under 45% on the year today, 10 for 12 from the line. So it's like
Yep.
he's really aggressive in getting downhill. And like that, he looks incredible. And that's how he gets to 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. And that's where I games like this, I do think are appropriate with the Terrence Shannon Jr. comp because at Illinois, Terrence Shannon was a rim pressure monster. He got there whenever he wanted, but he was also getting to the line a ton. And
Yep.
Otega feels like a guy who should be getting to the line way more than he has. I don't know what to do with him. Like if you're intrigued with him and you're like, oh man, early second round, take a flyer, why not? Okay, I get it. I'm not there. And if you're like, I'm never touching this dude with a 10-foot pole, I get that too. And he's just so volatile. And I don't know if anything with his game transfers to the next level. And, you throw out Terrence Shannon, he reminds me a lot of Adu Thiero, who really hasn't been able to
Mm.
do or make a foothold at all or get any minutes at all in the NBA so far. So that's where I really struggle with him. But it seems like once every 2 to 3 weeks, he has insane games like this where he's nearing a 30-point triple double.
He's just, even though his efficiency from outside hasn't been there, he has been pretty reliable, kind of like punching over his weight class in a sense. Is like he should not be a number one option. He should not be a
Yeah.
primary guy. And I think he's doing a good job of playing outside of that role. So I don't know if that what that means for like his scalability in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, can you simplify the game for him more to where he doesn't have to worry about expending a lot of energy running pick and roll sets and throwing
Yeah.
out these crazy bounce passes like how he was doing today? We know that he can crash the boards. We know that he can defend his tail off. He is a crazy athlete as well. We've seen that. So if you make the game more simple for him, is he closer to the 3-point shooter that we saw from him last year when he was, I believe, somewhere around like that 37, 38% on pretty moderate volume, but still like you saw and you're kind of hopeful. So I don't know, man. Like he's confounding. I've kind of have him in this like, you could tell me that he's 48th in the draft and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, even though I kind of have him in like that 60 to 80 range on my own personal big board
Mhm.
without returners and all that fun stuff. Like just everybody in a pot. I have him in that 60 to 80 range, which means more times than not when we do this Metcalf, like he'll probably slide up into that second round range once the decisions are made in terms of who's coming back to college.
Yeah, and I think that that point you made about usage and role is really, really, really critical because when you look at this team coming into the year, the point guard spot should have been one of the more intriguing spots with Jalen Lowe coming in from Pitt, Jasper
Yep.
Johnson as their freshman point guard. And those guys were complete non-factors all year. Lowe was obviously battling the shoulder injury that just could never get right, and then he's been out for most of the year. Jasper Johnson hasn't done anything. He struggled to find any sort of consistency or consistent role. Just 2 minutes today, which has led to Otega basically being the de facto point guard, which is
Yep.
not what he should be at all. And I today, and the starting lineup was Yelovich, Moreno, Colin Chandler, Denzel Aberdeen, and Owe. Owe's running point in that lineup, and that's a tough look. That is not
Yeah.
what he should. To his credit, they got the win. He put up
Yeah, they
bonkers
won the
numbers.
game. Yes,
Like
yes.
he did his job. I'm not trying to take away from that, but big picture, long term NBA translation kind of stuff. He is playing so far outside of what he'll ever be asked to do at the NBA level. Is a guy like I way overuse this guy for a comp for these toolsy, dirty work kind of wings, but like Terrence Mann, is that kind of like his ideal NBA translation of someone who can defend at a high level, knock down the occasional corner three, push and transition, do all the dirty work, athletic stuff that your stars don't want to do? I, I just really
Who's
struggle to see how
the
he translates consistently.
who's the new guy that Miami is using a lot? I forget his name. You know who I'm talking about, right? Like that the
Oh
new you know who I'm talking
yeah,
about,
because
right?
every time I look at their box score, I'm like, who's that? What is
Who is
that?
this guy? Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
oh god damn it.
Sorry guys, I scout prospects. I don't watch a whole lot of NBA. I do watch NBA. I'm not deep on Miami's roster. I know who
Oh
I'm
man.
talking about. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. One
This is
second.
great podcasting. No, that's
Filibuster
okay.
for me.
All right, guys.
Bam
So three.
Adebayo. No.
Yep.
Myron Gardner. That one?
Myron Gardner. Yeah,
Him,
yeah,
right?
that's the guy.
Yes.
Gardner. Yeah. I know Gardner's a little bit bigger, right? But is that the role?
Probably. Yeah, and he's 6'5", 220. God, he's a big dude. Arkansas Little Rock. But and he's given
Yeah,
them good
you were
minutes here the last couple
Trojans.
weeks. Um,
Yeah. Could
but
he
yeah, I think
do
that
that? Is that a proxy?
I think so. And
Yeah.
okay, so Otega Owe to the Miami Heat because I feel like a lot of these guys that
That's
we
what you do.
like
Yeah.
these this type of archetype. I feel like is what we constantly see. Find a foothold in Miami and then go into free agency and get a decent deal somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
okay,
Funky prospect
I
that you
don't hate
don't know
that.
what to do with, send him to Miami. They'll figure it out.
Oh, he's athletic, tough nose, plays really hard.
Can't
Yeah,
shoot.
let's send him to
Yeah.
Miami.
That's it. That's the play. But yeah, I mean that's kind of like in all seriousness, I think he's gonna be like a just a two-way like transition monster, get in your
Yeah.
face, get in your jersey, defend, make slashing plays around the basket. I don't think you're asking him to do too much at the next level. It's not going to surprise me if we see him long term in the NBA, which
Like
makes me feel
a
like I
more
don't
common
I
name.
don't have him ranked appropriately.
Could he be
Yeah,
Josh Okogie?
sure. I don't see. It's always hard to because it's like these dudes are such outliers that no one ever. Who's the guy? If we could find the guy that nobody thinks is good but is awesome, then this stuff would be a lot more easy.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
why aren't we making millions?
Yeah, come on, guys. Put all your eggs in the Otega Owe basket.
Yeah, take him. I think you should take him forward because God, if he hits, I mean, some of the advanced numbers
Hang
you
on, let
look
me
at.
pull
I'm
up
kidding.
Bart Torvik
Um,
and
I'm sure there's some sort of query that you can manipulate into turning him into Dwayne Wade. Anything else on Kentucky? Because
God
this
bless.
this team is a brutal watch for me. I know I mentioned it in the opening. I hate how they play basketball. I'm sorry, Mark Pope, but I hope next year is significantly better. Because this year I know it didn't go as planned, given some of the injuries. Cam Williams just a non-factor all year. Liked him coming over from Tulane. Just 10 minutes, one shot today. His 3 points, 1 of 1 from the floor, one steal, and that
Yeah,
was a pretty consistent stat line throughout his entire season. Um, Malachi Moreno, 3 points, 1 of 2 shooting, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers,
I keep wanting to
whole lot
to
of
like
nothing.
Malachi. I
I've
keep
tried.
wanting
I've
to
tried
try.
really hard
I
this
know,
year.
man. I'm the same way. It's like I see him pop up sometimes when I'm doing searches or like a
Mm-hmm.
random stat line I'll watch. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on with Malachi? I've never been able to get the good numbers to match the film.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that's just how I've been with him all season long. Brandon Garrison picked a heck of a time to have his best game of the
it
season. Like
was
this is,
phenomenal.
dude. It's like I'm telling you, Kentucky is such a rough team, but yet we're trashing this team that just beat Santa Clara, and I
Yeah,
feel like everyone picked Santa Clara to win this game. And this is a team full of fun prospects that
Hmm.
we love, like it's not even just the hype train that is Alan Graves, but I mean, Christian Hammond is a dude that I've
Yes,
written
sir.
about over at No Ceilings. I know that you and I have spoken about him as
Hmm.
well. Bucky Aboye, another darling, who didn't love Elijah Mahi last year. And,
He was
I
good
was
today.
he was awesome today compared to what he normally did. I had people text me, like, as soon as he hit that setback three in the game, people like, Steven, I thought of you whenever I saw the shot. I'm like, hey, thanks. I'm so glad I'm the Elijah Mahi guy that gets text whenever he does something neat on a basketball court. Um, yeah, and then Sash, I'm gonna butcher the last name. Uh,
I think we're
Gabagool.
okay going by Sash.
It just reminds me of The Office when Michael's trying to order the Gabagool because he's trying to be Italian. He has no idea what he's talking about. Um, yeah, man, such a funky game. Yeah, that's just the theme of today. Like, can't
Yeah.
escape it. It's just the theme of the day.
I'm assuming we're done with Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
I
Santa
mean,
Clara. We got to do it.
who else you want to talk about on Kentucky? Let's do the Allen Graves thing.
Yeah. Ended up with
I
decent numbers. 17 points, 5 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the line, which really helped inflate it. But 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. Um, First half plagued by foul trouble, 3 fouls in like 6 minutes in the first half.
Yep.
So really impressive foul rate there, averaging 1 every 2 minutes of playing. But
It's what
really
you love to
solid.
see.
Brian ended up with 27 minutes, so really disciplined and much better in the second half. Made some big plays down the stretch. Obviously, the pick and pop three that put him up with just a couple seconds left in regulation. Um, and if you're all aboard the Allen Graves train, you're like, oh man, if he didn't pick up some of those dumb fouls in the first half, he could have had a 30 ball here in this
Yeah.
game and an easy double double. Maybe. Um, I still don't get it. Um, and I
He
do
had
because
some good plays.
some of the advanced numbers are awesome. 6'9", really good shooting efficiency, really good rebounder. The defensive playmaking metrics are really good.
Yeah.
And he's tough. He's super, super tough and
Very
physical
tough.
and constantly playing out of position. So I don't mean to diminish what he was doing out there, but when I say I don't get it, I don't get the lottery stuff. I don't get the top 10 stuff
Sure.
with him. Late first round flyer, early second round, absolutely send me up. Um, but I really, really worry about how his game translates to the next level.
Yeah, I have him in like a 30 to 40 range, and I think I'm closer to 40 right now than
Yeah.
30, which I don't I don't hate when people talk so great about him because I mean even though he's a redshirt, he is a freshman.
Hmm.
He's got good size. He is strong as crap. Like he had some
Yes.
tremendous rebounds. Like not just go up and I'm a big man in college, so I'm gonna come away with rebounds. Like there's strength and know-how. Like one hand Odell Beckham Jr. style. Like I'm gonna like my rebound radius is wide and I'm strong enough to bring them in one hand while fending off other people
Hmm.
on the offensive glass. Like he's making good plays. He is a smart player too. Like he knows where to be. He knows how to get there for the most part. There is reliable signs of touch in his shooting game as well. So there are very redeemable qualities with Allen Graves. But I'm also someone who does not have him in the first round, right? So there are also some pretty detrimental flaws within his game too,
Yeah.
Metcalf. The athleticism I don't think is good enough for him
No.
to have like true positional versatility. I don't trust him to make plays off of the bounce at the next level, which really you're putting him as a below the rim floor spacing play finisher who can be kind of like a supplemental rebounder on your team and make probably slightly above average positional playmaking. So like there is utility in that. I'm just not, to your point. Sometimes I think like the narrative that we constantly get pushed on players can almost want to drive them down the board even further than what they probably deserve.
Hmm.
But I I don't have him in the first. I understand why, to your point, I understand why people are high on him. I thought that he did have, like, if you look at the rest of Santa Clara, like, not very many people on his team outplayed him. You know, he
No.
was one of the more impactful players on his team in a
Yes.
tough, ugly, weird game, you know?
Yeah, and we were, we mentioned that we were both fans of Christian Hammond coming into this game, and for a lot of the season, he put up a dud today, 3 of 11 from the floor,
Yep.
in 41 minutes. Elijah Mahi had a good game at 20 points, 39 minutes. Um,
Came in waves, though. It wasn't like a
yeah,
constant, like, you're feeling Mahi the whole game.
so the fact that Graves basically got his entire 17 points, 7 rebounds almost exclusively in the second half after being in foul trouble in the first half and not picking up another foul in that second half is crucial, and
Yeah.
it's a real testament to the discipline with him. But fouls have been an issue all year.
Yep.
I wrote about him over at NoCeilingsNBA.com the other week, and there's a lot to like. I know I'm coming across harsh and as a hater right now, and I don't mean to be. Just trying to be realistic with this guy, because we can blow up all these guys as much as we want, but I'm just
Sure.
trying to be honest and constructive. He is averaging almost 6 fouls per 40 when he's on the court. Santa Clara's defense is worse than when he's off the court. Um, and I think like you mentioned, he's a pure four. I don't think he can defend
Yes.
threes. I don't think he can defend guards on the perimeter. I don't think he's big enough or athletic enough or explosive enough to be a primary rim protector and guard fives in the NBA. His hand-eye coordination and anticipation with rotations as the low man is really good, and that should provide some scheme versatility at the next level with him roaming that baseline as that weak side defender. But man, I don't think he can move well in space. And like you mentioned, there's zero offensive creation with him. Um, and I don't need him to be creating out of pick and rolls and going
Sure.
isolation and stuff like that. But the second you run him off his spot, he's kind of toast. Like the
Yeah.
handle is super mediocre. It immediately turns into a post up. All of his smart passing reads are out of post ups to cutters, and that chemistry, especially with Christian Hammond in those, is great. And they
Yep.
Santa Clara gets a ton of really good baskets from that. But outside of projecting some short roll stuff, which he hasn't shown this year, but and if you pivot what his instructions are, is there a little more short roll playmaking that he could incorporate down the road? Hopefully, and probably. Um, but the only kind of solidified, tangible playmaking stuff from him that I see is like out of offensive rebounds. And he had an offensive rebounding rate of almost 14 this year, which is fantastic. Defensive of like 20, which is great. He's a legitimately good rebounder. But I just keep going back to the athletic tools, and he's so stiff and below the rim, and the ball skills are so far from where they need to be. Where it's like, is he just Jabari's like Walmart Jabari Smith?
I mean, I said way earlier in the season, you know, talking with Jam, that this is like middle class citizens Cam Boozer, you know, and Corey has also made
Yeah.
that, you know, he's the guy that people who bash Cam Boozer, he's the guy that people think Cam Boozer is, right?
Hmm.
So we've heard that comp from two independent places here at No Ceilings, and that's where I really think it is. And there are a lot of parallels in terms of where these two are most effective on the court in terms of scoring. There's also defensive concerns with both of them and positional
Yeah.
versatility, but processing is they're light years apart from each other right now.
Yes.
And I think too, I would like to dive into this. This might be like a fun off-season project for people who have no life other than family for someone like me. I would love to break down like assists off of dribbles, right? Like, because I think that that is a very key distinguisher in terms of, you know, success rate and stuff like that. Like, Jalen Slauson was a guy that I fell in love with a couple cycles ago. And because he can make great, he's a great playmaker for his position. But to your point, back to the basket, no dribble. I'm gonna have, you know, 10 seconds to turn my back
Hmm.
to the basket and just read. And I'm big enough and strong enough to keep people away from the ball. So that's different style of playmaking than one to make a decision, you know, especially in a tightly contested short roll read like how you're saying. I I'm of the team. I'm of the mindset that he should test and come back.
Yes.
Is where I am.
Same.
And we've talked about this before. I think the decision to come out and publicly state I am coming out,
Smart.
fantastic move
Good business.
because yeah, it's great business. You're forcing people to take you more seriously. You're not just moving over in an Excel spreadsheet, next year guy.
Yeah.
He's okay, I really got to take this scout seriously with him. So, another thing that I just want to throw you in the spirit of your and Rutgers this or that thing that you do.
Mhm.
How crazy would people be going right now if Alan Graves was in the NBL and Kareem Lopez was on Santa Clara?
Like production was exactly the same, or do you just switch their names?
No, I'm saying like put what Kareem Lopez is capable of
Oh,
doing on Santa Clara and then putting Alan Graves over in the NBL.
I,
Like
I think Kareem would be destroying what Alan Graves has done.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I don't know if a lot of people have admitted that are very high on Alan Graves.
And that's coming from someone who is not particularly over the moon about Kareem Lopez.
I love
Um,
Kareem Lopez.
I,
I don't
I,
know.
I have a lot more work to do on him, but yes, it
He's
seems
fun.
like folks are rapidly warming up to him. So
Yeah.
just real quick, last thing on Santa Clara and Alan Graves specifically, if he returns,
Yeah.
do you think he should return to Santa Clara or do you think he should transfer? Because
It
that's where I really, really struggle.
Yeah, especially with Gonzaga moving conferences next year, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
you're not gonna have that 1 to 2 potential matchups, against the Goliath. So I hate, especially publicly, I hate saying like whether or not players should transfer, but if the guy really wants to be taken seriously as a draft prospect, I think evaluators would want him to. I think team executives would want to see him in a Big 12, Big 10, SEC, ACC schedule, see him like on a nightly basis go up against big teams. Like if I'm advising him, come back. Thank you, Santa Clara, for your opportunity that you've put me on a map. I'm gonna go and try to see what I can do to improve my draft stock.
I think I agree with you. But I'll play devil's advocate,
Okay.
because I do worry about the athleticism, or not the athleticism, because his strength and balance and all that kind of stuff is very good, but like the explosiveness, and lateral agility, I do worry about how that looks nightly against a power conference. Um, and I think the areas of his game that he needs to improve the most on, where it's like just a functional handle and being able to slide his feet consistently in space and that kind of stuff, might be a little more conducive to improving on in live reps and getting that opportunity at Santa Clara against that competition.
Yeah.
So I obviously, if he does go into the transfer portal, there are going to be some big paychecks probably coming his way
Yeah.
that are going to be really tough to turn down. And I'm not in anyone's pockets here, but I'm just
Yeah.
assuming might be tough for Santa Clara to match. And that'll be really hard to turn down. But I think if we're thinking long term development and like what's best for his game overall, it might be staying at Santa Clara. All right, that
Metcalf,
is,
let me
yeah,
ask you
last
this.
one.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'll pull
You're
the
good.
string on this even further. You get word in the offseason that he is going to be a Michigan Wolverine. How excited are you? How does he fit?
Is the Daimara staying or going?
Whichever you prefer. I'll let you be as high on this as you want.
If one of Adaimara and Merez Johnson is returning, I love it. If Graves is the only big man kind of coming in, a little more skeptical.
You get Vocatitis too. Let's have fun.
Oh well, that's, and so my big thing there is basically,
Yeah.
I think he needs to be paired with an awesome center, which
Yeah.
is weird because I'm intrigued by Bucky Oboye long term,
He's fun. Yeah.
but their numbers together when they're on the court are a disaster. It's a smaller sample size, but it's not good. With Mara, I think it'd be really fun, just because of Mara's
A
passing
lot
and
of
stuff.
a lot of passing. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think defensively they'd be really good, but it's a hypothetical that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't.
all right, we did almost half an hour on that game. I'm just going to
We
kind of
didn't think that we were going to be able to do that. I'm proud of us.
all right. The rest of this slate was really funky, so I'm just going to kind of open it up to where do you want to go next?
We
Because
had a fun conversation in the group chat prior to the show about Zuby Ejiofor.
mm,
So let's do the Northern Iowa versus St. John's Red Storm game. I did my best to multitask and like I'm finishing up an article that's going to drop on NoCeilingsNBA.com on Sunday. I had two games on at the same time, but there's a conversation right now that Zuby Ejiofor is not being ranked consensus wise as high as what his game is kind of demanding of us. Like, I'm just gonna ask you, like, if you watched any of this. I know that you're a new dad. If not, that's okay. We can kind of get like kind of 100-mile away view here on the game. Um, there was a lot of good moments from Dylan Mitchell. I was really happy with his defensive effort. Um, I thought that he did it. He had some really fun moments on offense too. There was a left-handed drive that he had where he kind of cradled the ball, went up with the left hand and finished. Um, Bryce Hopkins did his thing where he rebounded the ball, dribbled up the court, and looked to take people off of the bounce and do a little bit of bully ball. But ultimately, like, Zuby is the crux of this team, and I'm kind of worried that I'm thinking too low on him, but I also don't want to be like super reactionary with him because I don't know if he's big enough to be as effective at the next level as what he is now. I don't know how that defense translates. Like
mhm.
he's got a lot of fun offensive tools. Like there's a lot of kind of like compartments that you can open with Zuby, but I just don't know like how good at the big man things that he is. He's a crazy athlete and he's very smart. I just don't know how like what does this look like in the NBA as a big man?
That's been my hang up all year. I wasn't able to dive into like the details of this game specifically because
Sure.
I had a newborn spitting up all over me pretty consistently tonight. God, new dad stuff, just the best.
Yeah.
But for this game, and again, I haven't caught up on the group chat, so maybe I'm mistaken here. But for this game to spark that conversation feels a little
It wasn't
premature to me.
just the game.
Okay,
There's some deep dives that have been happening. There's some
okay.
analytical dives that have been happening kind of behind the scenes. I think this game just kind of like was like,
It was
okay,
happening. So I was like, "Hey,
I'm gonna
I've had this.
unleash.
I've had this cooking."
Yeah, I'm
Um,
unleashing right now. Yeah,
okay, that's right because it's like,
yeah,
Northern Iowa's tallest starter today, I think, was 6'8". So I was like, "Yeah, well, Zuby should
yeah,
dominate this matchup," and he still only went 4 for 10, only 28 minutes, whatever the nuances. But and that the defensive end is where I've struggled the most, especially like
same.
early this season, where it just some of the defensive playmaking stuff has felt good. I block rate of 7.5, steal rate of
Yep.
2.2, solid marks for a big man of his size at 6'9". So he's an undersized big. Um, Only 32% from three on low volume. So it's not like he's a legitimate floor spacer or anything like that. Solid rebounder, not great, especially on the defensive end. I I keep landing in the space where it's like I think he's a really fun college player who's so physically imposing. And I don't know how that undersized game translates to the next level. And if we're looking at undersized bigs, a guy like Flory Badunga intrigues me way more because I trust his defensive versatility a lot more. I trust his vertical spacing a lot more. And I think the way that his passing and handle, again, not expecting him to be a creator by any means, but I think those functional ball skills have improved a ton just from
Yeah,
last year. So like I'd just be more intrigued by taking that swing on Flory instead.
that's where I have this going to. Like, I even asked the question like the this or that between him and Krivas.
Yeah,
There was a contingent that said Krivas. There was a contingent that said Zuby. And I was
I
like,
go
well,
Krivas for what
and
Flory.
I would too, and I even have Flory to your point ahead. Where again,
Okay.
it's Zuby's fun, right? Like the idea of him like hitting is very very fun. There's a little bit of a safety component I feel like with Flory because he plays with his hair on fire all the time.
Yeah.
Very high motor, self starter. I trust him athletically translating and then just doing the traditional NBA big man things. Like if you were putting someone on the Lakers right now to play with Luca, I'd
Oh, it'd be
go
Flory.
it'd be Flory
Well, it'd be
over
Kratos
Zuby.
and yes.
Yeah, right. But I the outcome is more fun with Zuby. Like,
Yes.
and he does a lot of really interesting things. Well, I will say though that the conversation is making me. I'm probably gonna try to find time at some
Hmm.
point, maybe even after March Madness, to go back and look at Zuby to see if I'm missing something because I've had him in the kind of this like 40th range on my
Yeah.
board because of some of the concerns that I have with him.
Yeah, and I've been in the same boat. It's like late second round flyer, sure. Um, but where I really struggle is like who do you comp him to? And I know comps can get overblown and it's never a one for one thing, but even just archetype wise, I struggle to try and figure out who he is at the next level. Because there isn't that awesome vertical spacing, there isn't that awesome horizontal floor spacing. The post moves are great. He's not gonna get as many post ups in the NBA. No one gets Jokic doesn't get post ups in the NBA anymore. So how does he impact the offense? And if I have questions about the defense really translating, even though there are some fun flashes, the consistency for me isn't always there. I don't know what he's really bringing to the table at a high level to warrant a potential first round pick. Like I did catch that in the chat that some people are going that far in. Um,
Yeah.
Second round flyer, I can get all aboard with those. It's like, you know what? Why not? Maybe we strike gold here. But first round talk, that's where you kind of lose me just because there's so many unknowns and it's an archetype that historically always struggles to translate.
Yeah, and the conversation had, like I said, it has me wanting to go back and look because now I'm interested that
For
people are
sure.
thinking of him in that same neighborhood. Like very well could be missing something. So I just wanted to bounce that off of you because, again, a lot of compartments that you can kind of like open up with Zuby, and that might be worth swinging on in the late first because first rounder we might be looking for someone who could potentially be an outlier at the next level. I don't know, but I'll tell you, Tillman was a comp that was being used for Zuby, which kind of fun. I get it.
Not bad. If you're really buying the defense, I get it
Yeah,
because Tillman was such a good defender coming out of MSU. Um,
good passer too,
yeah, not bad.
positionally. Yeah, I don't hate it. I
But
just wanted
again,
to
but again, just to set expectations, that's your third big, backup big at peak. Um,
end of first round. That's not a bad.
which can have a really
Yeah,
good career and a really meaningful player in a rotation. But first round, Eh, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's where I
Do you want to
struggle.
talk about the game? Like, I just wanted
Yeah,
an
yeah,
excuse to talk about
yeah.
Zuby.
No, you're good. Good. Take
I
it
hit
wherever you
you.
want.
Like I said, I thought Mitchell had some very fun moments offensively. I thought his defense, like you just felt him. The three stocks was just not indicative. I don't know if any amount of stocks is ever going to be indicative enough to Mitchell's defensive impact. There was some fun Ian Jackson moments too,
Okay,
where he's trying to be a little bit gritty defensively.
love
Saw
that.
him at the free throw line a couple of times, getting aggressive. Looks like he's getting bigger and more confident to do more things than what he was doing at North Carolina. So he might be a guy to kind of dog ear for next season
Yeah,
because, was once highly regarded, played in a system to where, like, I don't know how long in the tooth that coach is for that program anymore. So, like, can we really,
that press
ding
conference
him?
was tough.
Yeah, dude, it was.
After last night's show, I was like, man, were we a little harsh on him? Maybe
No.
not.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the show. And like, I don't know if you saw the press conference, but he did not handle it very well at all. I don't know how well I would handle that stuff either, to
Oh,
be
I'd be
completely
horrible.
honest.
I'd be like, why are you
Yeah,
asking me questions? I hate all of
I'd
you.
be the
Go away.
biggest baby. I
I
would be
hate
my
losing so
best.
much. I'd
Did you just raise your voice at me?
okay, I wouldn't take it that far, but
Yeah, I
I,
might.
I'd be more pop of just like, no,
Yeah.
yes, no. Um, yeah, no,
Moving on. Next question.
I'm glad
You
that
don't get to
you.
ask any more questions now.
I'm glad that you brought up Ian Jackson because he's had a nice little career resurgence.
Yeah.
Not like his numbers aren't insane or anything like that. He's not a this year guy, but it just feels like throughout this year he's doing more of the little things. Um, from start to finish. He's not a point guard. I hated that quote in the offseason last year, but
Yeah.
I'm way more curious of what his junior season could look like um, than I kind of was what his sophomore year would look like, and I think that's really encouraging. Dylan Mitchell, though,
I
do
feel
you
like
think
I'm
he's
too.
a guy who could really kind of find a foothold if he lands at the right place? I kind of be surprised if he got drafted, maybe second round flyer. Who knows with
I have
withdrawals
him
and
in
the
my
agency
second
work,
round now.
but feels like a really, really good swing is like a two-way guy.
It, outside of Dame Sar, like who are
Mm,
you getting that can do the things that he can do?
absolutely.
Right? Like you're just not
At
like
6'8".
at 6'8", like even Karchenkov isn't that big. Billy Richmond isn't as big, you know. So those are two guys that I love defensively who have a little bit, like Billy especially has a little bit more offense to his game, but I just see Dylan just like work so hard. So like as a second rounder, like I'm bringing in a guy who is coached well, who is trusted to do a lot. Like him gambling is not the same as anybody else gambling. Like he
Yeah,
can make plays that just other people can't. I know Corey is super duper high on him. I don't think I could love him as much as Corey, but I mean, in terms of like defensive impact, rebounding, he's smart, do a little bit of the handle stuff. Don't know if you're ever trusting him to shoot, but his
I
second
don't think
round,
he
like,
trusts himself to shoot.
yeah, his second round, like, if I'm set on my team and I just want people to be in the gym working against my starters, Dylan Mitchell is the type of dude that I would be looking to bring in.
For sure. Anything else on this game, or you want to jump
No,
somewhere else?
we can jump somewhere else. I just
Mm,
wanted to talk Zuby draft stock, really. That's all that was.
all right. Anything else today catch your eye? And just for clarification, we are recording this or going live with this during the late slate. So Florida is up by 39 at halftime. UConn is up
Jesus.
on Furman 16-15 with 12 minutes left in the first. Kansas is up by 11 with 4 minutes left in the first. Miami's up by 9 with 4 minutes left in the first half. So we're probably not going to be able to dive into many of those games. That Florida one looks like it's taking care of itself. Um,
Yeah.
and,
Did you
and
did you
anyone
speak on
else?
Kansas?
Kansas is up by 11 right now, four and a half
Okay, I'm
left in the
sorry. I
first
might have
half.
missed that.
You're good.
Um, I don't know if I want to break down games because just some of these games were tough, but I
Yeah,
mean,
and if we
LeBaron,
want to just bounce around for like the next 10-15 minutes.
yeah, LeBaron Phylon, and just stop me if I'm gonna go
No, you're
into a
good.
stream of consciousness and you want to kind of like chime in or whatever. LeBaron Phylon, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. Was so slippery against Hofstra. Like some people liked Hofstra in this matchup
Hmm.
to potentially upset Bama with the stuff that they've had going on with the big man and the marijuana stuff with the guard. Like how together is this team going to be? They 20-point win against Speedy Claxton's Hofstra Pride. Completely just took Cruz Davis out of the game.
Yeah,
Uh, Victory, and I'm gonna miss the last name, but on it on yet to I think is how they're pronouncing it. I'll probably be butchering it. A guy that I touched on in the preview, like he looked awesome. Like as a freshman coming off the bench, going up against Bama, there were some fun flashes. Like I would not be surprised if Bama's like, "Hey, do you want to come be on the Tide next season?" Like just in your face. He did there was this fun play at the end of the game where Bull Bowen like was getting chippy with the one of the other forwards on the other
hmm
team. And Victory is like, no, I'm not playing with that, and just like goes and charges him, knocks him on the deck. I don't
yeah.
know why. Like,
It was
go
one
ahead.
of those where it's like guy had a rebound and whistle blew dead ball and Bobo was trying to rip it out and was getting like unnecessarily aggressive with it. And Victory
Yeah,
just lowered his shoulder and shoulder charged him and sent him flying. It's like, oh, there's
yeah,
a big hit.
I
that
love
unfortunately
that stuff out of a
it
big
ended
man.
his night, but game was already in hand. So I was like, yeah, hey, I appreciate you looking out for your guy.
I love that so much. Like nothing more. I love a nasty, mean big man. Like I hate it in a point guard, uh, Jeremy Fears, but I love a big, mean, nasty. Like you can see boogers coming out of their nose, big man. Like I love that stuff. But LeBaron was slippery. Like he did everything that you would ever want to
Mhm.
see him do in a game. Was just awesome. Ball Bone was kind of fun. He's another one of these dudes who like maybe in the second round I kind of bring this guy in. Like I kind of wish the second round had 40 picks in there because I want to just see some of these dudes get drafted. That's really
uh,
all that I had on
yeah,
that
my,
game.
my,
If
my
you
only
wanted to,
other thing on this game, I thought Aiden Sherrill had a nice game, 15 and 15.
yeah,
Um, has steadily improved throughout the year. Not a this year guy, but made a couple nice corner threes. More intrigued to see what he looks like next year than I was coming into today. Iowa State whooped Tennessee State basically from start to finish.
yeah.
Josh Jefferson looked like he had a nasty ankle
Did not
injury.
watch the game. I missed that one.
He was in a walking boot and on crutches afterwards. So if that persists, that's going to be really tough for Iowa State. Hopefully he can get back by next weekend. I'd be shocked if he's back by
Yeah.
Sunday, but who knows? Virginia struggled with Wright State for a lot of this.
Yeah. Jakari White blew up in the second
He was
half, though.
awesome. He was really, really good. 26 points, 10 of 12 shooting, 6 of 8 from three. Just a really huge transfer that Virginia was able to grab him this year. I thought Johan Grunlow had some really nice rim protection sequences, ended up with 3 blocks.
You
Malik
want to talk
Thomas
about the Sam Lewis
hit a
ball?
streak. The what?
The Sam Lewis, like, here, I'm going to hand the ball off to the guy and get teed up.
Oh, God, what are you doing? Like you're losing you're losing to the 14 seed and you're flipping the ball at the guy and getting
Yeah.
teed up. That
Yeah.
coaching staff is not going to love that tomorrow.
No, they're not. Yeah, it was an interesting game. You want to talk about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to go to Tennessee, Miami of Ohio because I didn't get
Let's
to
do
watch
it.
this game super close, but what happened? Because Tennessee won by 22, 78-56. The awesome shooting that Miami of Ohio had in the playing game against SMU disappeared 24% from three. But there's a glaring stat line here by your favorite player in this draft, Nate Ament, who in 18 minutes had 0 points, 0 of 3 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, 1 block. I did not get to watch this game in depth. What in the world happened?
This was one of the ones that I was balancing too. And apparently he came into the game hurt, so that
Hmm.
played a little bit into it. But 18 minutes played. I don't know how much he played in the second half, to be honest with you, because I'm like, where is he?
Right.
But whenever he did play, it was like not good, like at all. Like he just didn't feel like he could move on defense. Like the lateral quickness and mobility wasn't there. Um, he did find his way in to get some rebounds. I thought that this game was going to be interesting for him to play the whole thing, just because Miami, Ohio is going to make you, especially on the defensive end, you got to make quick decisions. Like you can't be like, okay, there's 1, 2 guys over. All right, now I'm going to rotate. Like you got to be like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
He was not moving well. I don't know the severity of the injury. I don't know if we're going to see him play again. Like I don't know any of those things, but when he was in, you didn't even realize like he was on the floor. Like it was very much a Jacoby Gillespie, my cousin, just
Who had a great
going
game?
off. Fantastic game. Like another one of these guys where like you could say back into the second round he's drafted. Like okay, if you want him, like I wouldn't do it, but
Yeah.
I could get there. Depending on the returning class, whatever. But yeah, Nate Ament, just when he was in, wasn't great. And I think that's probably why we didn't see him very much throughout this game, is because of the injury. And he was providing nothing to the team.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets more healthy for Sunday. Um,
Yeah.
Anything else from today?
Braden Smith set the assist record in the matchup against Queens.
Absolutely.
blowout victory. He had 26 points, eight assists, 3 rebounds. Just very much like if you're a Braden Smith guy, like this game was you pointing to the rest of the world saying, see, like I'm trying to tell you, he's here. I don't know like how much I don't know what to do with the comments that I get where like he's gonna go in the second round, but he's gonna be in the NBA for 10 years and people are gonna wish that they had him. Like I don't know how this is the thing. Like if I don't know, like I that conversation almost bothers me a bit because like say that your guy's a first rounder, say where you have him, like okay
Yeah,
if he's
because
going to
once he hits and you try and claim him as I knew it, you better have had him in your first round. Because if you have a second round grade on the guy and you're trying to claim him as like, oh, nailed it. Nope.
process is all that matters. The process is the most important part, right? I don't know, like I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum or anything like that, but I have him as a second rounder, like a priority second rounder. I could
Yeah.
see it working out very well. But I could also see a world where it doesn't,
Oh god,
So
yeah. And he's
yeah,
tiny. He like
he's very, very small.
he's tiny and the outside shot isn't as prolific as it probably should be. But when it comes to playmaking and defensive manipulation and getting to his spots and handle and all that kind of stuff, and he's the best in the country. You could argue he's the best of all time given the assist record. So he's one of the great all time college point guards, and I do think it translates to the next level in some form or fashion. Not as a starter or all star or superstar or anything like that, but backup point guard at his peak. I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not I'm not trying to bash him. I just the commentary is like he's gonna go in the second round and be awesome. Like, where should he go? Like, give me some. He's over this player. I never see any of that. Like, I would take him over this guy.
I like him in the
So,
40s.
I
That's kind of where I'm at.
I I think I kind of have him in like that mid 30s to very early
Yeah.
40s too. So I'm right there with you. Um, Game that I was kind of picking as an upset. It looked good for about a half, and then the second half, Texas Tech really just blew the doors off of the Zips. I do feel good that I had Amani Lyles as the name that I shouted out because he had himself a really good game. I wish he had another year of eligibility. I would love to see Amani Lyles like playing for a very high major, like alongside somebody else who's going to make his life a lot easier. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a cup of coffee in the NBA. Like just the amount of ways that he impacts the game is pretty impressive. So I was happy to see him do that. Jalen Petty picked a heck of a time to be like, see, this freshman class is ridiculous. Like the state of Washington's Gatorade Player of the Year balled the heck out in the
Hmm.
NCAA tournament. 24 points on 5 of 7 shooting from deep. Even had 4 assists, and these were not like the next pass over assist. Like he was engaging 2 defenders on the 3-point line, backing up, finding a diving teammate going to the basket. So passing over the top, even though he's a little bit shorter and scrawnier. So like he's trying to do his best Christian Anderson impression out there. So that was a lot of fun to see. I don't know how much of that game that you caught, but Jalen Petty's like, is he going to be Johnny Mobley for people next year? You know what I'm saying? Like, could he be that level of a player, a Tahad Pettiford type of draft darling?
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens with this Texas Tech team because there's a big decision for Christian Anderson to make. I personally think he should go back, especially given some of
Same.
the NIL rumors that seem pretty legitimate with this Texas Tech athletic department, who's just throwing around money
The
like
Matador
crazy.
Club
Um,
is that them or is that A&M? I get them mixed up from the
I
McShay show.
yeah, I don't remember,
Yeah,
but Tech has money, and
yeah.
they are eager to spend it. And could that be enough to lure Christian Anderson back? And if so, is that more or less appealing to Petty, where it's like he's kind of playing that role that Christian Anderson was playing last year next to Elijah
Mm-hmm.
Hawkins? Does he want to do that again, or does he want to be able to be like, no, I'm more of a point guard. Like I can do what Christian Anderson is doing this year. I can be that primary offensive engine because he is only 6'1". Like he's a small dude, so he can't be a two guard. If his ultimate goal is to get to the next level, get to the NBA, he's got to start being able to showcase a little more of that. So there is absolutely a world where Texas Tech can run some fun backcourt stuff with both those guys on the court like they did today. But that's a really small backcourt for that being your starters all season long. And I'm just really intrigued. I think there's some fascinating decisions by this Tech team um, in in this offseason whenever their season ends.
They always get guards, man. Like I
They
wouldn't be
do.
surprised if he stays. Like I mean, I don't know. I don't know how far on that string I want to pull, but he was just a lot of fun today. Very excited to see what this looks like in the future. Because he didn't. I think he came off the bench like his first 10 or 11 games and then just started the rest of the season,
Yeah.
and just the results have been pretty solid from deep. The rest of the game is because he is just the size that he is, and like he'd be smart to stay somewhere that he's going to get good strength conditioning program and stuff like that. In Texas, that's probably going to happen. So the state of Texas, I understand that he plays for Tech people. I understand.
Last one for me. Utah State Villanova. Really fun game. Utah State wins by 10. Mason Falslove, one of my favorite mid-major guys, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought he was really good, despite not being able to knock down an outside shot. And then Adlin Elliman is a guy I've been really intrigued
Love
with
him.
all year as
Yeah.
a long-term guy. But 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. Um,
Missed all 4 of his 3-pointers, and I
he's not a
still
shooter.
freaking love him. Yeah.
He hasn't shot well at all, but the tools
Yeah.
with him are so much fun. And once he develops a little more physically, I think he could be an absolute blast next season. So I don't have much more in that game unless you do.
I don't either. You just kind of hit the points that I wanted to. And then the last thing I'll throw out is that I watched Iowa and Clemson.
Mhm.
Ugly game, very much so a rock fight. Bennett Sturt's the stat line isn't going to look great, but the impact, when you
Yes.
watch the film, you can see it. I joke that he's getting like double bracket coverage to like steal from Madden. I just feel like he's always got someone in front of him. And he's always got someone kind of near him in that deny spot as well. So looking at the numbers, you're probably not going to be all that impressed. Combs had himself a really nice game. Fulgaris showed up a little bit in like some random bursts and moments. So hopefully, Frankenstein's monster could bring him back next season. That would be very, very fun. But yeah, you're not going to look at the Sturts game and think, oh, wow, like he was 4 of 17, 3 of 10 from deep. The impact goes far beyond the numbers. Just like watch the game and you can see what he is having to deal with defensively.
All right. Before we wrap up, I just want to do a real quick preview of tomorrow's games. And I'm going to force you to pick just one game at a time here. I got a couple superlatives,
Yeah,
but
please set me up because I
but
don't have the stuff in front of me.
yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
on the fly, so
Okay.
I'm going off the dome here. So when you think of just best prospect game of like if you're looking at this just from a draft prospect standpoint, the game that you are most excited to tune into.
I legit don't have the schedule in
Oh
front
my
of me right
goodness.
now.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Hang on.
Steven.
Give me
Um,
just a minute. This is
here,
this
let
is
me
awesome podcasting.
here. I sent you the link for the schedule in the chat. But we start the day with St. Louis versus Michigan, which
Okay, I
I
got
think
it
is
on
going
my
to be
phone.
really intriguing. Okay,
Yeah.
and then we got Louisville, Michigan State, TCU, Duke, Texas A&M, Houston, Texas Gonzaga, VCU, Illinois, Vanderbilt, Nebraska, High Point versus Arkansas, Dayton, UNC Wilmington, Liberty, Nevada. They saved the real barn burners for the late slate.
Oh man, this is just interesting because I don't think that there's like one game where it's like evenly spread between draft prospects, which is going to make it really really fun. Um, I'll just be boring and say TCU Duke because I'm curious to see how Cam Boozer handles the contingent of David Punch and stuff like that. Like, I think that that could be very interesting. TCU, they play well together. Like,
Mhm.
they don't have like one person that you are guaranteed to walk in and get 20 points. I just think that that matchup could be a heck of a lot of fun to see how Boozer and Punch kind of go at one another.
I think that's a really good one. It's kind of similar mindset for me. I'll just say VCU, Illinois. Just
Mm.
intrigued to see how Keaton Wagler continues to handle really aggressive, high pressure, physical point of attack defense. Not that he hasn't seen it before. Um, but I just another data point to take away
Yeah.
from just a
Robbie
basketball.
Avila versus Ade Amaro could be a lot of fun.
That's what I was getting to next. Just from like a pure basketball standpoint of sneaky best game to watch, I think that Michigan St. Louis one could be really tricky because we saw how lethal St. Louis can be as shooters when they get hot, as they ran Georgia out of the gym. And we saw Michigan have struggles when with teams being able to space the floor 5 out like that, like they had struggled with Wisconsin both times they played them this year. St. Louis has the guys to do that. And if they can, I do think it's a sneaky upset watch, to be honest, especially starting the day with it. Could totally ruin my Saturday. Can't wait. Super pumped.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a really fun example to see how do the Michigan bigs in Yaxel, Merez, and Adai really adjust and adapt to it, and can they impose themselves on the other end of the floor too and really make St. Louis defend? So I think that's going to be a lot sneakier of a game than at first glance you may think.
I think in a similar mold, Houston and A&M could
Yes,
be, if I can't help but feel like out of the games tomorrow, like if there's going to be a legit upset, I think it could be Buckyball versus Coach Sampson.
let's go.
I think Aggie, the big man,
Yeah,
who's kind of a big man but not really, for Texas A&M, and the way that those guys defend and the way that they can get super duper hot from outside from multiple areas on the court, I think that could. I'm not saying it's going to be an upset. I sure as hell didn't pick it on my bracket, but like thinking about it even more, I wouldn't be surprised if A&M gives Houston problems because like
yeah,
they have a point guard that can set the table, they have wings that can shoot, they have guys that are going to get in your face and defend. Aggie is a very like he could give JoJo Tugler a run for his money in terms of like defensive impact and athleticism. So I don't know, that one's kind of intriguing. The more that I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like that's probably like if I'm picking an upset, I have to like that might be the one that I would go with.
I love that.
Yeah,
All right. Well, apologies for springing that on you, but you're a pro.
I
Shout out to
appreciate it.
everyone joining us live. We'll be back with just so much fun basketball, and I love the third and fourth day of this tournament. I think
Yeah,
probably the most because we still get the volume of games, but I think the matchups are even better. We got a couple teams looking to continue a Cinderella run, but we'll be back to break it all down. Until then, he is Stephen Gilaspie. You can find him at Stephen G Hoops. You can find all our stuff at No Ceilings NBA.com, No Ceilings Socials, YouTube. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at Team Metcalf11. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff. Until next time, see ya.